Hey everybody, we're back again for another off-season recap video, and we are winding down of these, only a few teams left to go. But we've got a big one here today, the Toronto Maple Leafs. Always a really fun team to talk about, and I have a really special guest on for this episode as well. So I don't want to take too long to get into it here. Just remember to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't. Both of those things help a lot and are greatly appreciated. But let's get right into it about the Maple Leafs here. They had yet another disappointing early exit from the playoffs last season, losing in the qualifying round to Columbus and once again failing to win any sort of playoff series. And that's led to a lot of changes once again this offseason. This is a team who has made a lot of moves. They've retooled their defense. Again, trying to find the right combination to get that defense to actually play significantly better. And they've made some cap moves as well where they've had to dump some salary. So if we look here at the Leafs, there's a lot of additions and a lot of subtractions from this roster heading into this season. The biggest addition, TJ Brody coming over in free agency, hoping that he can be an answer to help fix that defense. Wayne Simmons coming in, kind of a bottom six player at this point in his career, obviously, but a veteran guy that with some toughness and grit who can also chip in offensively. Joe Thornton, another veteran coming in as a free agent from the San Jose Sharks. Jimmy Vesey, somebody who's never really found it at the NHL level, but could fight for a bottom line role with the Leafs. Mikko Lehtonen coming over from Europe. He's going to get a chance to play with the big club this year and could be an underrated move there, them bringing him over and getting him into that lineup. He could be a big boost to that defense. Zach Pagosian as well added to the defense as he comes from the Tampa Bay Lightning, just won a Stanley Cup this past season, and another veteran guy with some playoff experience. And he'll certainly be a number 7 or number 8 guy in this lineup, but he's a good depth defenseman to have on the roster. Tyler Boyd, a depth forward who I'm not really sure you're going to see much of at the NHL level, but might get a crack at the fourth line. And Joey Anderson, who they traded for from New Jersey, also a guy I don't think you're going to see much in the NHL lineup, but could potentially get a depth role. And then for subtractions, quite a few of these as well. Tyson Barrie left in free agency, so he is now with the Edmonton Oilers. Kasperi Kapanen was traded away to the Pittsburgh Penguins. That was kind of a salary cap move. Another salary cap move was Andreas Johnsson, traded away to the New Jersey Devils. That's where they got Joey Anderson back from. Cody Ceci was let go in free agency. He's now with the Pittsburgh Penguins. Kyle Clifford, their fourth-line tough guy, was not re-signed, and he's now with the St. Louis Blues. And Frederic Gauthier, a depth guy playing on the fourth line who they just did not qualify and was let go to be a free agent, and he, I don't believe, has signed anywhere. So obviously a lot of roster changes here with the Maple Leafs heading into this season, and they've tended to do that. There's been a lot of retooling here and just trying to find not necessarily the core. The core's been intact, but they're trying to find that right combination and that right group of guys to put around their core that will move this team to the next level and allow them to actually win and go deep into the playoffs. So we'll see if this year's combination is finally the right combination to get Toronto deep into the postseason. But with that, I'm going to hand things over now to a very, very special guest, a great friend of mine and a huge Leafs fan. He has one of the best hockey channels on all of YouTube. John from Hot Take Hockey has come on to give his opinion on the Leafs offseason and look ahead to them this coming year. So with that, we're going to hand things over now to John. Take it away.
Hey, Off the Wall hockey viewers, it's John here from Hot Take Hockey to give you my 2020 off-season analysis and breakdown of the Toronto Maple Leafs and to give you a little bit of a preview on what I'm looking forward to for the 2021 season. So definitely drop a like on this video, subscribe to Off the Wall, and if you want to check out my channel, Hot Take Hockey on YouTube, you can do that as well, and I appreciate the support. And thank you, John, for having me on. So just to get into it with the Leafs, obviously after the Blue Jackets loss, I don't know if you saw my reaction. I was pretty pissed off. It was a situation the Leafs weren't supposed to be in. Obviously, respect to the Blue Jackets, but this Leafs team have the ability and they have the potential to be great, and they have the star power. They have some of that sexiness, I like to say, part of that team. They have that ability that people want to watch this team, and they have the ability to be great. But this team had holes, and they filled some of the holes in this offseason. So I'll start with the biggest addition, which in my opinion is TJ Brody. I think you have seen what Brody has done in Calgary with Giordano, and it's kind of what I've talked about. Now you have this addition with Brody where he's very versatile. He can go on the penalty kill, he can go on the power play, and he can play heavy 5-on-5 minutes. And I think he is going to have that ability to partner up with Morgan Riley or partner up with Jake Muzzin. Obviously, a lot of Leaf fans, I think, want Brody with Riley, and I would love to see that pairing. But I do think against tough matchups, against the top lines in the league, Brody can partner up with Muzzin and give you a really strong defensive pair. Justin Hull will probably play a lot with Muzzin. I think you'll probably see a bottom pair to start of Dermott and Lettinen, but then now you have Pagosian in the pitcher. So we've kind of joked around. I've joked around with Off the Wall. Get Marincin as far away from this team as possible. You have Sandin, who has shown he can be there. Liljegren, still 21, still developing. So hopefully you have enough guys ahead of Marincin where he does not touch the ice. And I think for the goaltending, it stays the same. You brought in Arundel as kind of that cushion, as that third guy, so there's no concerns there. You got Anderson, you got Campbell. If there's an injury, hopefully not. You have Arundel as the third string. And then the forward group, you brought in some pieces that will definitely improve from what you already have. You had to move on from Kapanen. You had to move on from Andreas Janssen. There needed to be some cap flexibility there. Unfortunately, you lost Kyle Clifford, I think, some of that physical aspect, but you brought in Simmons. And as Brian Burke said, they didn't really bring in a lot more physical nature or physical presence because you lost Clifford. You basically just replaced him with Simmons. Thornton, that size, I don't know if he's going to bring as much physical activity there, but I think the Leafs might still make another move. I know there's been some rumblings about Corey Perry, but I don't know if that's realistic. But I do think there needs to be players stepping up. Maybe a Joey Anderson stepping to the pitcher. But just to give you a rough kind of idea, maybe a top line of Hyman, Matthews, Marner. Then you have Tavares, Nylander, or Tavares, Marner, Nylander with Matthews. And then you have Mikheyev potentially on that second line. This is where I think it gets interesting, because if you want to put Kerfoot up the middle, great, he's your third line center. But Thornton could prove to be a great presence up the middle, especially if you want to run 7 defensemen and have your 3 centers as Matthews, Tavares, and Thornton, and give Spezza and Thornton different reps. And then obviously your wingers, as I just said, Kerfoot can play on the wing. Maybe Kerfoot's up there. You have Mikheyev. Nick Robertson will be interesting. He's not attending the World Juniors, so he wants that real shot with the Toronto Maple Leafs at a full season. And then you have other pieces there. You have Wayne Simmons, who you brought in. You have Jimmy Vesey, who you brought in. You have Boyd, who you brought in. I'm not sure if he'll have a big role. And then there's other pieces. Engvall, they signed. Is he going to be in this scenario? Is Korshkov going to get an opportunity? There's different pieces here, right? I do think Jason Spezza and Thornton are that experience. They're that locker room presence. And if it was a longer season, I would say, you know what, they're probably going to split it half and half. Thornton will get maybe 40-something games. Spezza will get 40-something games. 41 specifically if it was 82. But I do think in this scenario, maybe both of them play consistently. It's only a 56-game season from what it's been reported and rumored. So I'm thinking maybe they both take huge parts in the lineup in terms of obviously the experience in that lower 6, that bottom 6. But I do think that these two are going to play a huge part in the experience and just into the younger players of this team. Do I think they should make one more addition, maybe in terms of the physical nature, or maybe a third-line center, a right-shot third-line center where you have Kerfoot on the wing? Because Kerfoot has shown he can put up some numbers. 42 points, 30-something points, that's not something just to ignore. He puts up some numbers. So I'm thinking you give Kerfoot an opportunity on the wing and maybe, as you saw with the Lightning, at the trade deadline, acquire a physical right-shot centerman to get on that third line. And then you have that tough kind of players in your bottom 6, and then maybe acquire another defenseman. I'm not saying they necessarily do that, but what I'm thinking in my head is maybe you acquire a rental defenseman and move on from one of the younger players. Because if you're looking at the Seattle expansion draft, you're going to have to expose potentially both Justin Hull and Dermott. So maybe you move on from Dermott ahead of time before even losing him to Seattle, or I don't know. There's the potential for different things, right? But I think I would give the Leafs a pretty high grade. If I had to give them a grade, it would probably be a B+ to an A-. I'm not giving them A because I think they could have went for maybe one more defenseman or made another move in terms of the forward group on getting another physical player because they lost Clifford, so they basically just replaced him with Simmons, who can provide a little more offense. So that's kind of my analysis, kind of my breakdown to the Toronto Maple Leafs. For the 2021 season, I would expect them to be a playoff team again. Are they a cup contender? I think we'll have to wait and see. I think, as we've seen with different cup contenders, whether it's the Blues, Capitals, Lightning, it also comes down to maybe a couple additions but prior to the trade deadline. And with the Lightning, you saw that with Blake Coleman and Barclay Goodrow, and both those guys ended up being huge for the Lightning run. Same thing with Pagosian, and the Leafs got him now. So we'll see what happens with the Leafs. Thank you so much, Off the Wall, John, for having me on. And of course, like I said, subscribe, like, comment, do all that good stuff. If you want to check out my channel, Hot Take Hockey on YouTube, appreciate all the support. And thank you for watching. Peace.
So first, I want to give a huge thank you to John from Hot Take Hockey for taking the time to do this video and be a part of this video here on my channel. I really, really appreciate it. His channel, Hot Take Hockey, is down in the description, linked there. Definitely, you guys are going to want to check that out if you don't know it already. He is one of the absolute best on YouTube. And yeah, I really personally like what the Leafs have done this offseason. I think Toronto is heading into this coming season with a much better chance to win and go deeper into the playoffs than what they had last year. I really like a lot of their moves. The only real head scratcher to me was the Joe Thornton signing, because I think they kind of already have that with Jason Spezza, and I wasn't really sure why they needed two of those. Like, when you look at what Thornton and Spezza are at this point, they were both former superstars in the NHL who obviously aren't playing at that level anymore because of their age. They're both older guys, veteran guys who have been in the league for a long, long time, and probably in the last year of their NHL careers. And they're both bottom six players at this point who are just a veteran presence who can still chip in, but at a third, fourth line level. And I wonder why the Leafs needed two of those. I think they kind of already had that with Jason Spezza, but now they've decided that they were going to bring in Thornton and have Spezza and Thornton both there. So I don't necessarily think that that's going to hurt the team or anything like that. I'm just a little confused as to why they thought they needed two of those kinds of guys, but nonetheless, everything else I've really, really liked. I love the TJ Brody signing. He's a legitimate two-way defenseman, not just focused on offense like a guy like Tyson Barrie is. Like, Brody can actually play in his own end, which is something the Leafs desperately needed. I think he's going to drastically improve that D-core. I love the Zach Pagosian signing. This is a guy who you don't have to play on a night-in and night-out basis, but is great organizational depth, and is just coming off a Stanley Cup win where he played really, really well with the Tampa Bay Lightning. Pagosian, worked his way into that Lightning lineup and pretty much stayed there. So I really liked the Pagosian signing. And Wayne Simmons, you guys, if you watch this channel, know Wayne Simmons is one of my favorite players of the past 20 years in the NHL. Obviously, at this point in his career, he's not putting up the offense that he was when he was in his prime with the Philadelphia Flyers. But Wayne Simmons still brings so much value as a veteran leader who can chip in offensively and also bring important toughness and the ability to stand up for his teammates into the bottom six of that Leafs lineup, which they certainly need. And they were losing when they let Kyle Clifford go. So I personally would have liked to have seen them try and bring back Clifford and add Simmons and have Simmons on the third line and Clifford on the fourth line. But I think because of salary cap reasons, that wasn't going to be financially doable. But I love the Wayne Simmons signing. I think that's a great addition to the bottom six there. So overall, and Mikko Lehtonen's another guy that I really think could be kind of an X factor for the Leafs D this year. I think that could be an underrated move, getting him to come over, and that could be a big boost to the back end. So I think the Leafs are going to be better this season. I really like their offseason. I don't think it was necessarily a perfect offseason. I'm not going to say that it's like A+ or anything like that, but they're certainly a better team, I think, heading into this season than what they were last year. And I think this could be the year that they finally do something in the playoffs. But that's something we're just going to have to wait and see, because that's been the Leafs for the last 3-4 years now. They've always put a talented roster out there and a good team on the ice, but it's never been the right group for them to get over that playoff hump and actually win in the playoffs. And I think they're going to get a really good shot at it this year, and we're just going to have to wait and find out if this is the year that they finally break through that trouble of getting out of the first round and actually are able to make some sort of run. But again, want to give a huge thanks to John from Hot Take Hockey for coming on. Really, really appreciate it. Remember, guys, to hit that like button, subscribe if you are new, and like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. All those links are down in the description. If you'd like to further support the channel, links to our Patreon, merchandise store, and donation link are down in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys soon.